Islam Makhachev, to me, is the greatest fighter in UFC history. And I honestly thought, I had this thought in my mind for a while, ever since he won against Jack Della Maddalena. I was like, damn, he just tied Anderson Silva's record for longest win streak in UFC history. I'm like, damn, bro, 28-1. Now he just beat Ian Machado Gary in a fucking war, 29-1 now. I just think he's the greatest fighter the UFC has ever seen. 29-1, 18-1 in the UFC, and the lightweight champion. Now he's the welterweight champion, the 11th double champion ever. He defended lightweight 4 times, welterweight. This was his first title defense against Machado Gary. That's the 5th fighter to ever defend titles at 2 different weight classes. He has 7 title fight wins, which is top 10 ever. He has a 17-fight win streak, again, the longest in UFC history. In the 30 years the UFC has ever been around, Islam Makhachev is the most dominant fighter. He has 11 finishes in his 18 UFC wins, so he isn't a fucking decision merchant like that guy, GSP. A lot of people are saying GSP, if you don't count Jon Jones' PED usage and you just knock him off the GOAT list, they just instantly move to GSP and say, okay, so he's the GOAT. Since he lost like twice and he, I guess, got revenge on his 2 losses. But no, that guy was a fucking decision merchant. Like, I don't understand, because Islam, by most accounts, is just a better overall fighter than Georges St-Pierre. And on top of that, he finishes his opponents more than Georges St-Pierre. Now, not of recently, maybe because he moved up a weight class and it's harder to get finishes on guys that are bigger than him. Remember, guys, Islam is only 5'10", maybe 5'11", and he's facing guys that are like 4 or 5 inches taller than him. It's harder to get finishes. That's like a 60% finish rate in his 18 UFC wins. That is amazing. And don't forget, guys, he has wins over Arman Tsarukyan, who's the #1 contender in the lightweight division right now. Dan Hooker, who has fallen off, but back like 5 years ago, he was pretty good. Charles Oliveira, one of the best submission artists the UFC has ever seen. Alexander fucking Volkanovski twice, who's seen as one of the top 3 to 5 greatest fighters the world has ever seen. Dustin Poirier, who's pretty good. Jack Della Maddalena, probably his worst opponent he's faced. And then Ian Machado Gary, who he just fought, which is he's a good fighter. Islam Makhachev has no weaknesses in his game. Islam is my favorite fighter, and I think the thing I like most about him is that he doesn't care what the fans want. He doesn't care if the fans want striking. He will do whatever it takes to get the win. Whether that be just wrestling, taking the guy down, holding him down, it doesn't really matter to him. It doesn't matter what the fans want. It only matters what Islam wants, and what Islam wants is the win. Doesn't act out like as this big tough guy. Doesn't puff out his chest and say, "Oh, I'm the best fighter ever." He just wants to be the best Islam possible. In a sport where there's so much people acting better than what they really are, guys that are like ranked 10 to 15 in their weight class saying, I deserve a title shot. Islam was never like that, even when he wasn't the champion. And I think that's honorable. And with all those things mashed together, I just think Islam Makhachev is the greatest fighter of all time. Now, if you do count Jon Jones in the GOAT list, even though he took steroids, I mean, I guess he's better than Islam, resume-wise. But, like, bro, he took steroids. That's why Barry Bonds isn't in the Hall of Fame, because he took steroids. Like, that should just discount you from all GOAT lists. So you gotta think, Jon Jones was on steroids, and Jon Jones without steroids is still probably one of the greatest fighters ever. But Jon Jones with steroids, it's just really not fair. And obviously, he's still an amazing fighter. I don't really have a problem if you put him as the GOAT, but I just can't put that past myself and say, okay, Jon Jones is the greatest fighter the UFC has ever seen, even though he had an unfair advantage and an artificial advantage that he didn't work for. He just took fucking steroids. And I just can't get that past my mind. So, to me, Islam Makhachev is the GOAT. GSP is overrated. That's also what I'm going to say. GSP is overrated. I'm looking at GSP's fight history. Like, bro, I get it. He's 26-2, 21-2 in the UFC. His only 2 losses he avenged in later fights. But I'm looking at his fight history and what he did. There was a stretch from 2009 to 2013 where he didn't finish anyone. In his 21 UFC wins, he only has 8 finishes. That's a 38% finish rate compared to Islam's 61%. And just looking at like who he beat, Islam's resume absolutely clears GSP's resume. It's not even close, bro. Like, what are his best wins? Matt Hughes? Fucking Matt Serra? BJ Penn? Like, they're cool fighters. Fucking Michael Bisping is like a top 5 win. What the fuck are we talking about? What are we talking about? I just don't understand. Why do people just default to George St. Pierre as the GOAT if they just discount Jon Jones? Sometimes people even say George St. Pierre is the GOAT, even counting Jon Jones. Stylistically, Islam is just the better fighter, just using your eyes. And if you look at the resume, Islam has the better resume in a tougher era, in a tougher weight class. I think GSP, even though he's probably a top 5 fighter ever, I think is one of the most overrated fighters in UFC history when it comes to like the greats of the sport. Because if you're talking to your average UFC fan and you say GSP isn't in the top 3, they look at you like you're fucking crazy. It doesn't make sense. That's all I have to say. This was an Islam Makhachev video, but I ranted about GSP for like 3 minutes. I'm sorry. That's where I'm gonna end it. Islam's the GOAT. Don't ever forget that.